edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port here on a Thursday. And today it is the Barnes, Zach, Matthew with Michael Lurking show. How you fellas doing?
Good. What is good?
Yeah, so a lot to talk about today, and what a time last night. If anybody didn't catch, we had a sports edition of the Gaming Corner, and we were talking about it last night. Definitely going to have more of those coming soon. A lot of Madden, and we finished it out, with NHL. And what a way to cap the night for you, Matthew. That was a tight NHL win there.
I don't know. I haven't played NHL in a long time. That was a crazy game.
Yeah. No.
Actually, no. We played it a couple weeks. Yeah. I don't know.
They're always tight, though. That's except when I'm playing.
Game. It's a tricky
Most
game.
of the time.
You played better a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and I mean it was I was up 2-1 in the third, and then I gave up 5
Mike
unanswered goals to Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, just unbelievable.
Poured it on.
Do you play NHL, Zach?
I haven't played in a little bit, but growing up, that was like one of my favorite games on Xbox. The old NHLs, like NHL 12, 13, those were like the prime years to me.
Yeah.
But I still love it. I play threes a lot in NHL now because I just think it's fun. I like the arcade style.
So, do you have like the new game?
I don't, but I think I can get it for basically cheap because like I have Game Pass on Xbox. So,
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, because we were playing 24. This was the first year because I have the PS4 that they didn't make 25. We were saying like we want to get a PS5 for the studio here. I probably will get one myself as well. Just love having the new games. And then it's just tough when there's a new console that's out for a while, and then you still have the PS4 and it's years and years later. I feel like they just put no effort for that version of the game, and it's just shit basically.
Yeah, because they know where their money is made basically, so they're not even gonna try. That's how it was like with like the 360, because I remember when the one came out, I didn't get the one for a little bit, so I was playing all the last gen games, and they were putting no effort into them basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, I think eventually I'll get that. What do you play the most now? Like if you're gonna game, typically?
I've been playing the new Call of Duty a lot. Fortnite just came back, like the original like seasons just came back, so I've been playing that with my friends a little bit. And then I'll mix in some sports games. It just depends on like what my friends are feeling. We'll like re-download a game, delete a game, So,
yeah. And it's interesting. I feel like I get away from it during the off season, but I think arguably like in terms of sports games, like the best game is The Show.
Yes, The Show. That's so funny. And you think about that. That's definitely the sports game I play the most now. I love that game,
it's awesome for sure. And it's just great too. You have a bunch of people over or whatever, like that everybody could play because you could just do a home run derby.
Yeah.
Just derby after derby. Love that. A lot of comments though, so let's get to those.
Gotcha. Start from the top. Michael Bukta says, that was so much fucking fun last night, guys. And Tony, you were right on one thing. The moment I see the woman dressed up as Snow White, it's going to be too iconic of a scene. Shout out to DTV. Michael Bukta says, and Kev Do. And he also says, and Tony,
that's tight. Have
you heard of this actor by the name of Ian Somerhalder? My ex met him years ago.
Oh, Mr. Summonholder. Oh, shit. Too funny.
He says, and oh, by the way, Kev Du was right. I was watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarves last night. Josh B says, yo, fam, Rangers finally. And says, Bukta, saying hello to Bukta there. Kev Do says, let's go. We want the smoke. You not like us. He says, Bukta as well, saying hello. Says, Bukta, please no Snow White talk today. It's been overkill with Snow White after last night. Says, it's 10:08 a.m. Do you know where your DTV crew is? And then says, Jeopardy sound playing in my head. Michael Theophil says, great night, so epic. Tony says, NHL is the best. Josh B saying hello to me. Zachariah, so fire.
So fire!
Tony says, the show close second, and says, I have not heard of him, referring to Bukta's comment.
Oh, my God, that's so funny. Yeah, and it's like I really do enjoy NHL, just going off what, Tony was saying. It's just like, I don't know what it is. Like, I guess it's just like a coordination thing, but I feel like it's so difficult, especially because I didn't really play much. Like, literally maybe like NHL 06. Like, I played with my cousins a little bit long time ago. Really didn't start playing NHL until a couple of years ago. We were at Tony's. That was probably the first time I played in over a decade, literally. And I feel like it's just so hard to like pick up to it, especially when you're playing against other people who have played like a lot,
Yeah, I think for me too, because like I can go away from it for a while and come back and I'm still pretty good at it because I played it so much when I was younger. It's like muscle memory almost. It's so funny.
Yeah, and I feel like for me, Madden is like that, especially because I've just, over the last couple of years especially, it's just always these things like, oh, a couple people are over, everybody wants to play Madden, and it just like I see why people lose. And really, I mean, I think the biggest thing is always the picks. I mean, it just like, especially the newer games, you can't throw it deep. I mean, you have to just do short crossing routes.
Yeah, which I don't like, to be honest. I like the arcade style games where you can just chuck bombs. Like, I feel like it's more fun.
And really, like, running the ball like a lot is really the best strategy. And a lot of people, like you said, you just want to get the quick strike and go from there. What would you say for you, the show, Matt? Your favorite game?
Yeah. Show.
With did you used to call like your guy anything, or that was just NCAA with Schmitty?
Yeah, no, that was just NCAA.
It'll be sick to get the new NCAA like when we get a new system.
Oh yeah, because the Pooch has it now, right?
Yeah. It's so crazy. I actually have not played it one time for some reason. Like I used to play 360 all the time. Obviously, when we had it, the room and at the house. But ever since I switched back to PlayStation, I just like don't like Xbox. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't played. I haven't had an Xbox, I should say, in a long time.
Like, if you were gonna get one though now, what do you think you would get?
I don't know. PlayStation, I guess.
I just feel like I'm just used to it. It's good. Now I'm gonna get all messed up with the controls again and stuff. Like,
I know I had Xbox growing up though.
It's crazy. I started with N64, then PS2, then 360, and then PS4. And now it's time to switch it up again. So interesting to see, what I'll end up doing. But I think Tony, a couple more comments he has here.
Yes. Let me see where we're here. Oh, yes. It says, you got to win, Brian. Then you'll like it. Says the shot of Zach is fuego. Thank you. That's all Michael. That wasn't me.
Yeah. But yeah, great job by Michael setting up the cameras. And then he actually also has a comment I see.
Yes, Michael says, 24-hour stream will be iconic. Can't wait. Hands down. Best show. Matt G, Zach, and Barnes. Only missing Tony, but still epic.
Hell yeah. Can't wait for that as well. But like I said, so much to discuss. And, since we haven't, obviously, Zach got to talk about it with you in a while, let's start in the world of Major League Baseball.
What a play! Stop it! Yep. And Alonso cracks one. The Mets win the ball game. Out of sight.
And it works at 100 miles an hour. 14 strikeout.
Drove deep to left field. There it goes. See ya.
All right. So obviously, Zach, before the show, we were talking about. How surprised you were with Soto, with the Mets. And I've been talking about this all week, but I think the biggest thing, for me was I just had this thing set in my mind where if, the offers were close, which they were, and I know, with the escalations, it makes it roughly $50 million more. But I've been saying all along, I just thought if it was close, there was no way that he was going to pick, the Mets over the Yankees. What were your thoughts about that scenario before it all came down? Were you thinking the same thing? Were you thinking that it was the Mets had to be 50, 70 up front, not with the, potential option there? I mean, what was your thoughts going into the negotiation?
I think definitely I thought he was going to stay with the Yankees just because, everybody wants to be a Yankee, number one. He's already been there. And they were this close with the World Series. So I felt like he was going to stay just based on his track record there already. So to be honest, once I started reading reports that we were just throwing money at him, I was like, okay, maybe this is possible. I was about 50-50 on it, but still, in the back of your mind, I was like, he's probably going to stay with the Yankees because they're just going to match the offer, if not be really close. So I was honestly, I was really shocked. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And now, obviously having the time to, reflect back on it. I think it comes down to a couple of things. I think maybe, before this process started, he had it in his mind, no matter what, he's not taking a penny less than anybody's going to offer. So I think it's that, coupled with the fact, and I've kind of thought about this more, as the days go on, but I think there is something to that he didn't want to be kind of 1A and 1B with Judge. And I know, Lindor obviously had a really good year last year, but you think about, Judge and MVP. Do you think that has anything to do with it? That he wanted to feel like that it was he could kind of be the leader of his team?
Yeah, and I think that conversation is tough because I've kind of seen that thrown around, and it's I just feel like that's something that you'll never truly know unless it comes straight from him and he says it outright, because I just feel like a lot of things have been thrown around about that. But yeah, definitely. Without a doubt, Judge is the guy on the Yankees. He will be for the rest of his career. That's just the way it'll be. He was there long before Soto was there, and he'll be there after. So I think that probably played into it a bit. There was a lot of things being thrown around, especially right now. Conversations like that, I don't know what's true and what's not, but you definitely have to think about that.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, as the days go on, and it happens anytime with sports, especially there's a playoff loss, having to deal with the Yankees losing the World Series last year. But when this first happened, I'm not going to lie, it was so shocking to me. I basically almost had a panic attack. Just because I just wasn't expecting it. It was are you kidding? Especially when it first came out, I was like, okay, we were probably $50 million short, and then finding out it's only $5 million. What happened here? But then, as the days go on, at first I was very much against it because leading into free agency, everyone was saying well, maybe you don't want to re-sign him because then you could spread the money out and really improve the team wholeheartedly. And now that we're in this situation, I actually feel pretty good. Fried is obviously the start of it. And they also announced yesterday that they re-signed Loaizaga. But then in addition to that, I guess they're working on, potentially trying to acquire Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger. And I just feel like as good as Soto is, if we are able to swing the deals for, Bellinger and Tucker, I think just overall, as a rounded team, being that, we had to start Glaber with his mental errors, base running errors, fielding errors, Verdugo, when he's hitting 100 for months at a time, whatever the case may be, Rizzo playing first, dropping balls. I think if you do those two trades, and I know it's going to be tough to pull off, but I just think as a team, it actually makes them better as a whole.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that was really the biggest problem with the Yankees hitting and fielding wise is that you have guys who specialize in certain things, but it's not. You go up against a team like the Dodgers, and the depth is just unbelievable. So I think for them, obviously it sucks you don't want to lose Soto, but they're going to be okay because they're going to find guys to fill out the rest of their roster. That's how I feel about it. I mean, and I'm a Mets fan, so
yeah,
it says a lot.
No, exactly. And what would you say, Matt? As the days have gone on, have you kind of like warmed to that idea where it really like you're not even Soto? It's like whatever. Like this new idea is like very exciting.
Yeah, just they can do a lot more things now, so that's pretty dope. But obviously, I wanted Soto too. But you can't. You have to move on now, so they can do a lot of good things now. They got to plug some holes, and they're able to do that now with all that money. So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
well, it would have been obviously. I wanted him, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
but I do like the fact too about like getting better defensively because he obviously had misplayed some balls in right. Tucker would be as solid as they get out there.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen like highlights of Soto's all his miscues and things like that. It's like
there was a lot. Remember, I forgot what game it is, but like the dive in the outfield. Was that against Cleveland?
I think so.
Yeah.
So I mean, that can make or break you, especially in the playoffs. So, that it'll, he's obviously a sick player, but he's just a hell of a hitter. I think. Honestly. I mean, other than that, like.
And
defense,
it's like
defense is kind of shoddy. Got a good arm, but
as good as he is, like you can't argue the fact that it's not more important that we don't have a third of the lineup that at least that's an automatic out. That killed us at times last year.
Yeah, and then the thing too, I think the Judge thing is interesting too because I was kind of that mindset just a couple of months ago because I was trying to think to myself like, what if I was the Mets? Like, what would I say to him to get him over here? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I thought of, like, I mean, it just kind of makes sense. Like, well, listen, like, they got Judge over there. Like, that's his team. Like, you can come over here and, like, you could be the guy. Like, this is your team. Obviously, Lindor's there, too. He's going to have to share with Lindor. But I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I guess, who's better, Soto or Lindor, you think, Zach? I know they're different players, but.
I think.
I don't know.
It's tough. Because
like Lindor's a good shortstop.
Is
Soto that great of an outfielder? Like,
well, that's what I was gonna say. I think that it's hard. It's so hard because they're both insane hitters, and that's like not a question. But it's like if you look at, and this was people's argument with him versus Ohtani for MVP this year is his defense was just unbelievable. So
Lindor.
Yeah. So I mean, it's really. It's tough.
I mean,
luckily they're both on my team now, so I don't have to worry about who's better. But yeah,
I guess what I would say is the star power. I feel like it's Soto's got a little more star power maybe than Lindor. So my point being, like, if Soto goes to the Mets, he's not in Judge's like shadow, so to speak. But that is one of the things that I was thinking about. Like if I was the Mets, like what would I say in my recruiting pitch to him to try and get him over here? So, who knows? That could have very well been a thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, who knows? He seems like they're saying on the radio and stuff, like, oh, he's not that type of guy. But, like, I don't know, bro. Like, if you're all that butthurt about a suite, like,
well, I was
you're probably that guy.
Yeah, that's why. That's
probably that guy.
Yeah. And that's why, like, what I was saying, like, I've just heard so much stuff thrown around. That was another thing I heard thrown around, like, the family suite and the Yankees wouldn't pay, and Cohen was like, yeah, I'm sure Cohen offered him 4 family suites. You know what I mean? No. So it's like, I don't know about that either.
That's real petty.
Yeah, I really petty. Yeah. That's the type of stuff I've been reading, and I'm like, I don't know what to believe.
It seems that he's got a little trait of prima donna in him, a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course.
Nothing crazy. It's not like crazy. There's been guys that have been way worse. But it seems like that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing, too, and again, like, it's like you can't minimize it. He was so big for us in the postseason. But, like, it's like also, too, I think, like, it's just so
hit
hard.
That home run to get us into the
not to get wrapped up in the moment, and that's why baseball is a team sport. But it's like to be like, I feel like all of us Yankee fans, especially in that moment, finding out right away he signed with the Mets, like being so dejected, and then you just think about it for a second. It's like, wait a second, like this guy has been playing for what 6-7 years. He's won 1 championship, so it's like because we don't have him, that automatically like nope, we can't win. We have no shot. Like it's like, and I think that it's hard not to get caught up in that, but then when you think about the alternatives, and I like the fact too, and like I said, I know it's going to be difficult to get the Tucker deal done, but I feel like we have the pieces, and I think I was speaking about this yesterday, but I like the fact too. It seems like the Astros, are high on Luis Gil. And I like though that would be the rare time, like we did with Michael King last year, where you're selling high. So many times you have guys promise, people want him, you could get anybody for him, like even Gary Sanchez at one point, as crazy as that sounds. And it's like, so he would be a big part of it. We could trade some other prospects. They're not interested in Dominguez. So I just feel like it's a home run. Like, just do it.
They're not interested in Dominguez?
No, maybe Spencer Jones, but they're not asking for Dominguez. Wow. And I don't know if it's too because, like, we don't want to give up Dominguez, which also might be part of it. But that was the biggest thing for me. And I'm guessing, right? I mean, you feel the same. Like, it's like you're all in for Tucker as long as we don't have to give up Dominguez.
Yeah,
that's
you
pretty much just sign off on
I'm
it.
good. I'm good with throwing whoever else in there.
And do you feel like there has to be any, like, obviously we want an extension. I don't know like how likely that is, but would you say like that we could worry about it later if we try and then he says, oh well, let's see as the offseason progresses, but like would you make that like the line in the sand that like we need the extension before, or if it's like if they're gonna do the trade, just do it and then just try to hammer it?
I don't know. It'd be nice to kind of get the extension before, so it's not Soto 2.0.
But what if it's like, okay, we're gonna trade him to the Cubs, or you could just trade him now and try to work out the extension?
Well, I think it'd be easier to work on an extension with him than Soto.
Right. That's why. And it's how much less is it gonna be too?
I have to say real quick that I hate seeing shit like this, like on ESPN, that like a new era in New York baseball. Like I had no expectations it was going to happen. The inside story of how Juan Soto became a Mets, like that obviously is annoying to see because there's just kind of for me, it's just as like kind of a reminder. It's like Yankees basically had him, it seems, and then something slipped.
Yeah.
So obviously that's annoying. I don't like seeing that. That irks me a little bit.
Yeah. But me and Zach were talking about it before the show. He even agrees as a Mets fan. And I was just saying too, and I know you agree with this. Him and Tony, seem to be a different breed than a lot of other Mets fans with the hooting and the hollering. And it's like very easy to see it. It's like, yes, the Mets probably, or definitely signed the best free agent they ever had in their history. But I think it's just a common thing. These fans are getting ahead of themselves, saying that now they're the kings of New York, and it's like, and it seems like a joke, but it feels like they're really like thinking they deserve a parade, they deserve praise from Yankee fans, and it's like we were just talking before, and Zach agrees. He just wants to focus, okay, like, what are the moves now? Are we re-signing Alonso? What are we doing with the team? Just like us, like, what holes are we filling? Who are we signing? What trades are we making? Like, and just the obsession of other Mets fans with the Yankees. I've said it all along. I just feel like it's embarrassing. Like, why are you so concerned about what we're doing and comparing yourself to us?
Yeah, I agree with it, too. I especially, like, on social media, I think it's just become so annoying to see. Because that's literally all it is like every comment section that's about Soto. It's either Mets fans going at Yankees fans or vice versa. And it's just like, I don't really care. Like, I'm focused on my team. Yeah. You know what I mean? Dude, I hate it. I don't comment back and forth like that. It's annoying.
Does everybody not respect or remember history?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The history of Major League Baseball. The history. Yeah. Look at the Yankees history. Look at the Mets history. There's no comparison. So why are you comparing? Dude, Zach, I'm not. No, you know what I mean, I'm not trying to.
No, I know.
But like that's a fact. You know what I mean? It's not even close. Like it's not like the Mets aren't like in the same stratosphere as a franchise, the Yankees. Just with the championships and stuff like that. I get like everybody's route. Soto, it's like best free agent and like he's so sick and like so definitely be pumped about that. But that doesn't change anything yet. Like. And also, it's like we have 27 World Championships. You guys have 2.
Yeah,
so
and we're just in the World Series. But also talking about history, like when was it ever a team?
They're going to be a good team, bro.
But when was it ever that?
I'm not delusional. You know what I mean? Like they're probably going to be. It's a good team.
Yeah.
But when was it ever that like a team historically had done so more than another team, and then before any games were played, they signed one free agent, and then that catapulted them ahead.
This is the underlying. This is why everybody feels the way they feel, but nobody's saying it. The actual reason. It's because he went from the Yankees to the Mets. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's why everybody's like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If he came from, let's say if he was with the Padres, then he came to the Mets, it wouldn't be like, oh, You know what I mean? Like there would be no of this back and forth between King of New York and Yankees and Mets. Like it wouldn't matter because the only thing that is fueling all this is that he was on the Yankees and then he went to the Mets. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. That's why we're like, oh, look at it. Like we are the best. Like Cohen is the new fucking Steinbrenner. Oh, like come on, man.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's just, the cart in front of the horse, as they like to say.
Right. And again, too, they're probably gonna be a good team.
Yeah.
Like they got a lot of talent. They're young. Like, it's fine. Like have a good time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not, but let's slow it down with like who runs New York and all that shit. It's like
and just play ball.
Just remember.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean,
Look at the history books.
not for nothing. Like that's what I'm excited for. I'm excited for what's going on the field.
Right.
That's what I care about. You know what I
Right.
mean? And like I said, like I'm worried about us right now. Yes, he came from the Yankees, but he could have came from anywhere. I'm just excited to have him on the team. So it's like, I don't know. I just think that whole thing is just played out, and now this is like only gonna make it worse, and like the media is just gonna make it worse because that's what they do.
Yeah.
Well, it's the perfect story for them to fuel
exactly,
it. Oh my
yes.
God, look at this prize generational talent was on the Yankees and left them to go to the Mets. Like, that never happens. So it's like, that's perfect fuel for them.
No, and then
Media,
one thing that really annoys me too, because I've had this like with Mets fans now, like as the days that went on, like I said initially, like I was really bothered. Like they just won't take my word for it that I'm saying like I'm not bothered anymore. I don't care. I love my team. I'm excited about what we're gonna build for next year. Like it's fine. Like these guys say, oh no, like you're so bothered. Like you want Soto, you can't handle it. Like all this stuff. It's like no, I want to build the best team possible and win as many championships as possible for the rest of my life. Like,
I can take it.
That's all I want. And on top of it, you can't tell me like again, like my word is not good enough when I say I would never want somebody on the Yankees that doesn't want to be here. When have we won championships with players that didn't want to be here? When has that worked? Could somebody tell me? I think that was during the doldrums of the 80s and why we didn't win anything.
Well, we haven't won anything the last 15 years with guys who have wanted to be here either. So.
Yeah, but it's the point though.
No,
like we didn't win with them, so that's what we're talking about when we won. And the fact too that like we're in the World Series and there was 25 other guys that were on that team. Like there's a lot of guys that were there. Like that means something. And it's like I just think there's no reason for any Yankee fan right now to be dejected. I think big things are going to happen.
And I also am pretty pumped, like speaking of the youth thing too, because the Yankees are relatively young too, and there's a lot of youth to be called up, or there's a lot of youth to be dealt to get it. Guys like Tucker and stuff like that. But either way, I mean, from our side of things, like it'd be nice get the Tucker thing done. I mean, dude, if somehow you can keep Durbin, I really don't know. I'll look up some stuff on him, but I haven't seen that much on Durbin.
Yeah, I think he's been up and coming since last year. The stats are going to pop the page, but
he's
nasty, good fundamentally. Contact, has a little pop, good fielder, can run.
I'll tell you, like if we can somehow work out this Tucker deal, and then get that extension done, it'll be like.
Right.
Soto's a fart in the wind, dude.
Yeah. Because Kyle Tucker is he's really good.
He's really good. He's a stud in the outfield.
Just like Soto when he came here, he hit a career high in home runs. Right. I guarantee the same thing would happen with
Tucker's
Tucker.
a lefty?
Yeah. And he's hit home runs in Yankee Stadium. Yeah, I think he hit one when I was there this year.
Yeah, man. And, really, really jacked up about Dominguez. I don't know why. I don't know why, but just.
Well, it's crazy how long we've been.
Feeling,
and it's like he's still 20 going on 21. That's the best part.
That's what's really exciting. It's like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like not even 21 years old. That he literally is cut from the same kind of cloth as Soto. I mean, young Dominican player, outfielder, great bat. And he's only 20. Like,
and he can run too, way better than Soto can. So he should be able to steal some bases.
Dude, he's 5'9", bro.
Yeah,
Dominguez. I didn't realize how short he was.
Yeah. And obviously, it seems like he has, a knack for the big moment, hitting the home run in his first career bat in Houston a couple years ago. And now that he has a full off season of being healthy and should be, I mean, you'd almost pretty much guarantee he's going to be either the starting left or center fielder. And obviously, we're talking about how we'd like him to be, in center. But I think he can adapt. He can play where we need him to be. But yeah, it's exciting to couple that with Wells, with Volpe, and then who knows? Maybe Durbin plays a role. I think that second base, is going to come down to probably, Durbin or Peraza. And we were texting about it yesterday, and I think it's just a lot of agents pumping up things. And it's funny, Zach. So I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday there was a lot of chatter like, oh, Yankees are real hot in Alex Bregman. And we have one of our friends, Mark. He's very he just can't wait to lay down a gauntlet.
He's extreme.
Yes, exactly. So he literally texted yesterday that he's taking years off from baseball if we sign Alex Bregman. And keep in mind, he's just as big of a Yankee fan as me. We were at the World Series together, all that. And he's saying that because it bothers him that bad, which I understand to an extent. Obviously, I really hope it doesn't happen. But if it did, it's I'm not taking a sabbatical. But yeah, I also, though, don't you think that it's that's smoke? There's no way they're giving Alex Bregman, whose offense is in decline, is obviously hated by Yankee fans. There's no way they're giving him a big deal.
Yeah, honestly, in terms of Bregman, obviously he's a great player, but I feel like signing someone for that much money in a declining part of their career is I just
there's
don't think
absolutely no need to.
Yeah, there's no need for if you can get him.
Jazz Chisholm at third.
Yeah. I don't know. They're saying oh, maybe we need to move him to second. No, he looked pretty good at third.
Or put him in second.
But I like his arm. He's a really strong arm at third.
Yeah.
And then I just like that Durbin can play second. And then you think about it, if Tucker's in right, and then Judge Dominguez center and left, Wells obviously behind the plate, Stanton at DH, and then we have Oswaldo Cabrera and maybe Oswald Peraza supposedly, actually, which is surprising because it seems like the organization's not big at him. I guess Cashman doesn't want to trade him, so if you have them two, off the bench with Trent Grisham, I'm good with a team like that. I think we just and then it's just first base. Is the thing, and I guess since the Cubs are looking to try to trade Tucker, I don't know if they'll trade us Bellinger if we acquire him. But any thought in a plan, because it seemed like the Walker thing fell apart. Maybe we can go back there if his contract demands are less. But anybody internally you'd like to see there, or do you think we'll have to go free agency?
No, I mean if ideally,
or trade, obviously.
Well, now you got me thinking about Bellinger. I mean, it'd be nice to just do that.
Yeah.
Because he's also versatile, so he can play a few different spots. So just kind of, I think Bellinger's got to be the target.
Yeah. Well, and also, supposedly the snag is the money that, just take all the money. The trade return will be less. Yeah. And Kyle Tucker is in the last year of arbitration. He made 12 last year.
How old is he?
He's 26, 27. Mm-hmm. I'm imagining his arbitration number will be $17 million. You have room for that. That's fine. And then, you sign a reliever or two, and that's it. And second base will be filled internally. And I think that's the way to go.
Would be a great outfield if Judge, Tucker, and Dominguez.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And Bellinger at first.
Yeah.
And
then,
I pretty much agree with everything you said. I'd keep Jazz at third.
Yeah.
You said Durbin at second?
Yeah. Durbin or Peraza.
If Durbin
or Cabrera.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say Durbin might get traded.
Yeah, but you have three options there, so I think one of them will be fine. And I'd like to see Peraza get a shot too. I know Durbin's more highly touted, but if Peraza can get a shot, that'd be nice.
And then we got Wells behind the plate.
Yeah,
a good bench.
You think trade Trevino? Or do you want him to pinch hit in the World Series with the game on the line?
There's a bear, dude. Yeah.
But then we just traded Carlos. I know we have other guys, but we traded Carlos Navarez to the Red Sox. But
for that pitching prospect.
Yeah. But we'll be able to fill it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much solidifies it. And like I said, maybe a bullpen arm, maybe one of those Cashman trades.
Am I in outer space, or did Bellinger ever catch?
No, he was an outfielder, and then he played first base later on.
I think it was somebody else then, because I don't know.
You're probably confusing him with someone else.
Yeah. But they played in the field, and then all of a sudden they were catching.
Yeah, no. But think about him behind the plate. I think he's massive too.
Bellinger?
Tall wise.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's rail.
Was he setting up out here?
Yeah. Took him half an hour to get
shit.
from here to here.
Yeah, so that's really where we're at. And I saw something this morning too. That I know it came out yesterday too that Crochet, obviously traded to the Red Sox. A few prospects. The best remaining starting pitcher, Corbin Burns. Supposedly the Giants are the heavy front runners there, and obviously they're desperate for big free agents because it seems like nobody wants to go there. So we'll see if that can get done. I guess initially because of the connection with Stearns, it seemed like the Mets were going to go there, but it seems like they're not interested in signing him or really any big free agent pitchers. Is that kind of what you're hearing, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I really haven't
Zach,
heard.
what's on your wish list, bud? As a Met fan.
Clay Holmes not to be the 2-starter?
Yeah,
He fucking sucks.
I feel like that was like the toll we had to pay to get Soto is like to get Clay Holmes now and have him be a
Baptism by
starter.
fire.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's weird because there's really, it's coming to a close here with these big name pitchers. Really not many left. So.
And Fried, sorry. Not
Fried, yes.
Barnes, pumped about Fried.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
I forgot about that.
Of course.
I think, really, I just want them to re-sign Minaya first, pitching. That's, I really have enjoyed watching Minaya.
He didn't take the QL, right?
No.
Pay the man.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, he was lights out for us this year in the second half of the season, especially when they fixed everything with him. So, yeah, I would like to re-sign him, and I want to re-sign Alonso. Those are really the two things that I really want to see happen.
And I would think, too, though, they got to, sign some relievers, no?
Yeah, the bullpen. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Or maybe Clay could take care of that.
Oh, yeah. No, please. Yeah, no.
But would you rather have him be a setup guy or be a starter now that you're stuck with him?
I'd rather him be a starter, to be honest.
Just because you'd be nervous late in the game, like, what's he doing?
Yeah, and we can always yank him and put in somebody else. I mean, we've been stuck with bad pitching down the stretch, and it's not pretty. So I think it's fine to, it's a lot of money what we paid him, but it's not that much in the grand scheme of things. So if it doesn't work out, we can always kind of move on. But I hope it does. It's just like, I don't know what you guys watched him play this year. I didn't. I'm not really
the stuff is there, but it's just like you never know when he's going to hang a slider and give up a walk-off home run.
He's only good for an inning and 2/3, basically.
Yeah, he's so inconsistent.
I don't know why they think
I guess way back with Pittsburgh, he was a starter, but his numbers were awful, like a 5.6 ERA. Not our problem.
He'll throw him out there. Yeah, throw him out there. He'll get hammered, and they'll be like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
And then you must have been pissed about Montas too, huh?
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
He fucking sucks.
Yeah,
dude.
Again, a former Yankee.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's so funny too because I was trying to be positive about it. I have a friend at school who's a Mets fan. I was like, oh, we got Montas, whatever. I was trying to
what about LeMahieu?
Oh yeah, that's like that. That's what that's like.
I was trying to be positive, trying to find some positive in it, and he just straight up was like, "No, Montas sucks. He sucks." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
He's you know what? It's so funny because he's a classic Oakland A, dude.
Yeah.
Just like Sonny Gray.
Right.
Good in Oakland, traded to New York, shit your pants. Yeah. That's it.
And you know what else is hilarious too? Zach, I don't know if you heard this, but supposedly people are saying that maybe Soto's pushing this too, but that they're interested in trading McNeil and signing Glaber. Would you be tight about that?
Yeah, extremely.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, especially since I know McNeil struggled this year, but that's a batting title guy, and if he can get back to it, I think that he's going to be fine. I really don't think that's a good idea at all. But I love McNeil, so I don't know. But
I just
Soto
feel like
and Glaber were that tight.
I guess, but my whole thing is, how does any team look at Glaber Torres and want to invest anything in with him, with the base running, the throwing errors?
Dude.
And me and Tony were talking about it yesterday with I think the Mets are on Arenado's trade list, but everybody has this obsession with one guy. Had a really good season or two, or used to be good, but it's been years and years and years. You're in this session maybe if he switches teams, he's going to go back to that guy, even though it was 7 years ago.
I know.
He's not gonna.
That is a thing.
So annoying. Like
that is a
nostalgia, I guess.
I mean, because with this, that does apply to Glaber too, because he obviously had those years and he was nasty, and then especially was that 2018 or 2018?
No, 2019 juice ball.
Yeah, he was sick.
Yeah. 38 home runs.
I don't know, dude. That would be tough for the Mets. That would be a tough move for them, I think. Trade McNeil, dude, to get Glaber.
Yeah, no,
like
no,
they
thank
stoned,
you,
dude.
Yeah, no, seriously, like that will not happen. There's no way.
Yeah,
if it did, I would be
like as much
talking
as
about taking a hiatus from baseball.
I do have a little soft spot for Glaber. I don't know why. Like just because I guess being on the Yankees for this long and like he was a good in the leadoff spot.
No, and I've been talking about this year, all week. It's like we gave him an opportunity. There were those moments, but they were neglected by the terrible mistakes at the worst times, and you can't look past that.
Yeah.
So, it works for a team that's not going to be maybe in the World Series, but for contending teams, that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we saw obviously we saw that come to life in Game 5.
Yeah, exactly.
All those mistakes.
So yeah, that's I think where we're really at in regards to free agency, but obviously anything that comes up, we'll be sure to mention it. But let's go now to the world of the National Football League.
He wants Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Justin Jefferson, the catch of his life.
Burrow fires, intercepted, picked off at a pick six. Minka Fitzpatrick, an absolute ball hawk.
Niners twist up front and get to Tagovailoa. Bosa again. Mahomes escaping on the move, stops, spins, flips it forward for the touchdown.
Stop it.
Aaron Jones. Oh, what a tackle. Quincy Williams with a pile driver.
All right. So kind of crazy today to say, but tonight will be the start of week 15 in the National Football League. And, we have a matchup, Prime Video, 8:15 in Santa Clara between the Rams and the 49ers. These two teams met earlier this year with the Rams winning 26-20 in overtime. And both teams, desperately need this game. The Rams are actually one game out of the division, and I believe one game out of a wild card as well. And have been on a run. I think they started out 2-4, if I'm not mistaken, and have really caught fire here. And everybody was surprised about that home win against Buffalo last week. So you have a quarterback and a coach, in Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, as well as a receiver in Cooper Kupp, who have won a Super Bowl before. So you can't, ever, underestimate that experience, what that means in a situation where, you're fighting for your playoff life here. And, you look at the matchup historically, I think the Niners, have struggled with the Rams in the past. And now, what version of the Niners here are we really getting? Ayuk, has been out for this season, for a while now, but now McCaffrey's out for this season. Jordan Mason's on IR. So you're looking at a third string running back in Guerrero, in a team that's desperate, a team that struggled, a team that their only win, I think, in the past month was last week against Chicago. But they still have some players in defense, and, we all, know about, Kyle Shanahan and his play calling ability. But what do you think about this, Zach, for San Francisco? Me and Tony kind of have ruled them out, weeks ago, just because, it just seemed like too much ground to make up, too many injuries, to make up for. But what do you think about San Francisco? Do they have a shot here? Not even just in this game, but to rally and make the playoffs, or do you think it's just too much adversity to overcome?
I think it's too much to overcome. Yeah. I think especially in their division too. Seattle's really coming to their own, and the Rams, like you said, they have key players on the team who have been to a championship before and have done that. So it's like when you weigh that experience too and the way that they've been playing, they're red hot offensively. I think the 49ers are going to have to – they're going to play the best they can for the rest of this year. It's not like they're a terrible team. They're not going to tank out for draft picks. But I think they are going to cut their losses and try to run it back one more time with this current unit before Brock Purdy starts asking for like major money.
Right.
But that's, it's crazy to me that this is where they are this year because I don't know, they were just so close. They've been in the NFC Championship, I think 5 years in a row. I don't know what the stat is exactly, but
something
it's
like
absurd,
that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's where they're at right now. And I just think there's better teams in the NFC West and better teams in the NFC as a whole. So.
Yeah, and also, too, did you see, I guess there's some controversy with Debo calling people out or something, and I guess he deleted the post. Did you hear anything about that?
I did not, no.
But I know he, like, maybe even, like, with their kicker, Jake Moody, like, choked him or, like, pushed him earlier in the year,
Yeah,
too.
that was, like, the long snapper or whatever.
That's what it is,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't seem...
The vibes aren't good there.
The vibes are not, exactly. Yeah, they've had a rough season, so.
And it's interesting, you almost wonder, if it's a situation where it's like a trap. You try to get, into the head of, these Vegas, odds makers, but I don't get why they're a 3-point favorite. I know that's not like a huge number or anything, but how is it just me or does this not scream like a pick'em game?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because they're at home.
Yeah,
I don't know. But they're not like.
But being so diminished, right?
Yeah. I don't think that's accurate, but that's just me.
And I guess there's been some action on San Francisco because this line actually opened up at 2.5, and now it's up to 3. So it's just like I don't see what they're seeing other than maybe just the pure desperation of this team. And I know, you still have George Kittle, Debo, Brock Purdy, and obviously Kyle Shanahan. And I think Nick Bosa will be back for this game, but I think Trent Williams is out, which is, again, a big loss. But I don't know. It just seems like, there's a lot of things to make up for. And then the Rams, I mean, we saw it last week, all the points in that game, 86 points with the game against the Bills. And I know they had dropped some games that we felt like they should have won, but now it feels like they're hitting their stride. And because both Nakua and Kupp were on IR, I think it took a couple games to get, back to being acclimated. But the chemistry that Stafford has with those two receivers, it's like, how do you stop that?
Yeah, and I think, like, also, like we were saying before, like that championship experience, you just don't question McVay in this situation. I think that they're going to make the wild card and they could really make some noise. Honestly, I mean, I really like what Seattle's been able to accomplish this year, but I think the Rams are still the better team. Their record is not
right. Yeah, I think that Seattle's not good at all.
Yeah, like I think their record doesn't show it, but they were also plagued with injuries all year, and now that Puka is back and Kupp is back, it's like a whole different team that I'm watching offensively. So it's exciting too, because I mean I love the way their offense operates. So it's exciting to see what they'll do down the stretch. They're getting hot at the right time. So
yeah, absolutely. And you look at the schedule, they actually I was mentioning this when we had our show at the Horseshoe on Sunday. Their last game of the season is actually against Seattle. And I believe it's in, Los Angeles. But to me, that screams that that's going to be like the NBC Sunday Night Football winning in game.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, my whole thing too, and it's interesting. I don't know if you heard this. And I get it. You want to, and that is a home game, by the way. Last two at home. Cardinals and Seahawks, and just after this game against San Francisco, a road game against the Jets, which is such a daunting task, of course. But with Seattle, I don't know if you heard this, but I guess Geno, like, they had some interview before, like, I don't know, they just had one of those like pregame Sunday shows where he said he believes he's like the best quarterback in the division. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, listen, he's done some good stuff in Seattle, but it seems like, kind of going back to maybe second half last year, it seems like he's kind of regressed a little bit. Not that he's not okay, but I don't think he's good enough to be a playoff quarterback.
No, and I think that's the thing with them is I feel like I could see them doing great things in the future, but I don't envision it with Geno. And
no.
I think Geno has played great, and his resurgence has been great, but it's just like you're definitely not the best quarterback in that division, especially, think about Stafford and even Purdy I'd put over him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people argue that Purdy is, it's because of the system that he's in, that he's that good. I still think he's better than Geno just based on what he's been able to accomplish in a short time. So, yeah, no, definitely not the best quarterback in that division.
No.
It's good to be confident, but that's a little too much.
That's a little crazy. Yeah, I would say so for sure. What's your thoughts on Geno?
He's definitely not the best quarterback in that division. Zach, I agree with you, dude. I think Seattle's record doesn't is not a direct correlation to like the team they actually are. So, I mean, Geno's listen, he's definitely more consistent than he used to be.
Yeah,
and he's been solid for them. But I mean, best quarterback in the division is no way. I mean, probably know Purdy's been hurt and he's had his struggles this year, but I would take Purdy over him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, being a former Rams fan yourself, I mean, you have to be rooting for them to make the run, right? Like in terms of like making the playoffs.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean they can. That's like one of those teams you don't want to see in the playoffs. I think because they get in as a wild card and they can do some damage. They've been there before, so they got a championship pedigree. McVay, with the way he coaches, so I wouldn't want to see them like in the first round.
No
way.
No. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited to even watch this game. I think despite my confidence in the Rams winning this, I think it will be close. But I just think them having all their key cogs available on offense is going to give them the advantage in this one. But what will exactly happen? Let's do a Thursday night football frenzy. All right, so 8:15 Prime Video, Santa Clara, California. The Rams and the 49ers, Part 2. And you look at the spread for this, like we said, opened at 2.5. Now it's moved to 3. So I guess, bettors are backing the 49ers here. I mentioned it before. They lost in overtime the first matchup of this season, and of course looked pretty good in a 38-13 win over the Bears. But then again, it was the Bears. And the previous 2 weeks had gotten actually outscored 73-20. And you look at the Rams, they win their last 2. The shootout against Buffalo, the road game in New Orleans. They did get blown out by the Eagles and then won the previous week, against New England. So 3 out of 4. We mentioned a Super Bowl winning head coach, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I think that goes a long way. So when I look at this game, and by the way, total set at 49.5, I think it's going to go under the number. And I think it's, I could see it being played tight initially, maybe a 10-10 game at the half. But then I think second half, Rams pull away, maybe hold San Francisco to 3 points, score 2 more touchdowns themselves. And I think they ultimately win this game 24-13. So that would be the Rams and the under. What do you think, Zach?
I think that the Niners will definitely put up some fight, but I just think the trio of Stafford and Puka and Cooper Kupp is just going to be too much. I like the Rams and I like the under.
All right, and then Matthew, what's your prediction here?
Rams, Niners.
Yes, sir.
Let's see what we got. So I'm going to go with the Rams as well. Just because San Francisco, obviously, this is not their year. They're going to bang up. So over under 49.5, man. I think I'm going to take the under on that too. To be honest, I'm thinking it'd be like 20-17, something like that.
Okay.
21-20, something like that too. I don't think over, no way. Unless the Rams absolutely ball out, but I think Zach really on the head with the Cup and the offensive weapons that the Rams have. Obviously, San Francisco's got a lot of weapons too, but they're a little bit banged up, and it's just not been their year. So I'm going with the Rams in this NFC West
divisional game, as our fellow downtime member Anthony Materiello likes to say. Yep. But just like that is your Thursday night football frenzy. So and I know sometimes you watch these pregame shows and you say, oh, everybody's on one team, so that means the other team's going to win. I don't think it applies here. Little screecher 20. But so obviously tomorrow, we'll do our full frenzy on, the Sunday Week 15 slate. But I wanted to see what your guys' thoughts were. The surprising news coming out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, yesterday afternoon. Bill Belichick agreeing to become the Tar Heels' next head football coach, a 5-year deal, and I believe there is language in the contract that would have his son Steven be the coach in waiting. Belichick, I believe it had been since like 75 through last year, had been in the NFL in some capacity. So it's 73 years old, and we know, the young girlfriend, of course, maybe keeping him young, but kind of surprising, a guy that was only coached in the NFL, making the move to college at this point in his career. And I was just going to say one thing, or two things really, that came to mind here. I know that I saw something. His father actually was an assistant at UNC in the 50s, so maybe that played a role. Also, his son, I think he was the defensive coordinator at the University of Washington this past season, but maybe he felt, like he wanted to set him up, and that if he didn't do this and have that in the contract, that he wouldn't get a crack at being a head coach. Those were kind of my thoughts here, as well as, the NIL and the fact that it's more like the NFL now, just because of that. And they even have a general manager, Mike Lombardi, who was part of the Patriots organization, is going to be the general manager. But what were your thoughts on this, Zach?
I think it's a good hire. Definitely because, number one, the ACC is like not that stacked right now. I mean, SMU and Clemson are great, but there's room for growth, and there's room for another program to kind of be built within that division. And I just think also, like, the way Belichick does things is he's always been extreme with structure, and I think that can go a long way in building a program. And it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but the way that he does things, I just think it's super interesting to see how his like NFL mindset on things is going to transfer over to college football. And like you said, I think things have changed a bit with NIL. It's not, the student athletes are treated more like adults now. So I think like it's definitely more of an NFL type atmosphere. But I just think overall it'll be super interesting to see how he applies his mentality to college football. So no, absolutely. And it's interesting too. I don't know if there's language. I don't know, I keep saying it weird, but language in this where, it's a 5-year deal, but, they'll still do the coaching waiting, even if he only coaches 3 years. I just have a hard time thinking he's going to, make it the full 5 years. It just seems like that's a lot from some guy who's, 72 years old. One thing that I kind of just curious your thoughts are, because I mean, you can't argue, the Super Bowls, the success as the Giants defensive coordinator back in the day under Parcells. But I just question, as everybody seems to laud Bill Belichick for his, football acumen. But there are two things that stick out to me. And I don't know if this is a ego, stubbornness thing, nobody above the team. But the fact that the Patriots organization, post Tom Brady, smart, Should be good now.
Testing? Do we have it now?
Hello?
Should be good now.
Okay, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it's interesting, with all those things. But to me, it definitely is somewhat, of a black mark, for sure.
Yeah.
As Joey Greenwood says, fixed. So thank you, gentlemen, for letting us know about that.
Yeah.
He says, now Josh is saying my mic is off, but I thought I just heard myself. Just check here. Yes. Oh, maybe it is off.
It says you're getting levels here. Everything's unmuted.
On the broadcast though, does it sound like?
It says you're getting levels here. Everything's unmuted. On the broadcast though, does it sound like?
Switch audio source to Roadcaster main mix. It says it's using the computer mic.
Roadcaster main mix.
Audio settings in StreamYard.
Yeah, that's where it doesn't
say
say.
Roadcaster?
It says Camlink and Roadcaster Virtual. Does not say Roadcaster main mix though.
Maybe just was it on Roadcaster or no?
Yeah, it should have been. It was. Now it's just on full internal microphone built in, which is probably the computer mic. If you want, I'll just grab Michael real fast.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh no problem.
Usually it's there like in the.
Yeah, no, because I've seen Tony change it.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tony says he would unplug the Rode from the Mac and plug it back in.
Does it disconnect?
Yes, we don't have audio.
Can you see this cable?
Feels like I heard something with that. Maybe not.
Talk to the microphone, Mars.
Hello.
Can you pull up the stream on your phone just so we can test see here? But it should be.
Josh B says minor technical difficulties, and then Tony says yes. So does that mean we're good?
I think we are.
Oh,
back.
Tony says we're good. Okay. Great.
The cable got a little.
Thanks for your help, Renee.
No problem.
And Josh B says we are back. So yeah, that Belichick thing, that's interesting, and it's funny. I was texting Chokery, my brother-in-law, yesterday because they live in Cary, so it's right next to Chapel Hill. So I was saying, like, when I go visit them next year, it would be kind of cool to like go to one of those games because I'm sure now, like, there'll be a lot of people transferring in, and
definitely
because it was funny too. You thought, Mac Brown coming back, that would kind of revitalize the program, but I think he had like one good year maybe, and then they've kind of been mediocre, 6-6. So it'll be interesting to see if they get, an influx of talent, and maybe, these college guys are kind of motivated saying, well, we have a coach who succeeded in the NFL at the highest level, so he should be able to prepare us for that level. And maybe, too, the year off was a little humbling. The fact, too, that he couldn't get a job in the NFL last year, too, is going to make him kind of coach a little different and maybe a little better, that he's learned a couple things. So that'll be interesting. But, excited for the game tonight. But for now, if we could go to the world of the National Hockey League.
Speed, here he comes! McDavid shoots! Top shelf! He scores! Captain with the overtime winner! Stepping, rink Wellington made the full split save.
Are you kidding me? Turn, side of the net, between the legs, and they score! Filthy! David Pasternak,
The silver trophy to the Golden Knights.
All right. So on Gaming Corner last night, we were watching the New York Rangers and Buffalo Sabres game at KeyBank Arena in Buffalo, and the Rangers ultimately prevail here 3-2. It obviously just nice to get a win. Makes the Rangers now 15-12-1. Buffalo falling to 11-14-4. And they had lost 7 in a row going to this, so now that is at 8. I think just as a Ranger fan, though, I mean, of course, your first thought is, you wanted to win decisively and feel like, we were the team from last year, the team that, we saw at the beginning of this season. But listen, I mean, defensively, I think it was pretty good. Offensively, though, you would like to see a little more, especially, coming off a game, against, the Blackhawks where, you scored 1 goal against Chicago, who I think has the worst record in the league. So you're thinking, okay, Buffalo, they've been doing terrible. We should score 5 or 6 goals. But the scoring that they did have started in the first period, and this was 7 minutes into that first period. Mika Zibanejad, his 6th goal of the year, a power play goal, assisted by Panarin and Fox, 2 of the top assist getters on the Rangers. Panarin now with 20, Fox with 23. So that was a good way, for the game to start, and you felt like, that they would build on that. But second period, no scoring actually from either team. So, they go into this third period with a 1-0 lead. So playing this tight. And Riley Smith, who's looked pretty good this year, seems like he's kind of coming into his own. He had his 6th goal of the year, assisted by Fox and Carrick. So that was now 24 assists for Fox, 2 assists last night. So 2-0, 6.5 minutes remaining. So, all right, you're feeling pretty good. Maybe we could just cruise to the finish line here finally. But Owen Power, the former top pick, his 4th goal of the year, made it 2-1. So, okay, a little less than 5 minutes. Let's just grind this one out. Adam Fox finally scores. We mentioned about his assists. But, typically he's a 10 to 14 goal scorer on the defensive side, which is great and why he has become, a fan favorite of the Rangers over the years. Finally gets a goal on an empty netter, assisted by Vinny T. So that made it 3-1. But then Tage Thompson able to find pay dirt himself, his 16th, so made it 3-2. Rangers hang on to win. And like I said, obviously the important part here is just to get a win. And when you look at what Igor did, 29-31, I thought he played great. So that was a positive. Obviously the defense playing better. But one thing I noticed, when the Rangers are playing recently in this stretch where they've went 3-8 over their previous 11 games, is the other team is dominating possession. The Rangers are constantly on their heels, and typically, they're falling behind in these games. So it was nice. This was a game, that you didn't trail. And Igor, had some decent performances recently, which is nice after kind of having a couple clunkers like that 5 goals he gave up against the Devils back on the 2nd. So nice to see him kind of finding his stride, and the, after that contract extension, we know he's going to be here for a while, 8 more years. But I still look at this team, and I know Tony agrees as well, is that, you have to swap out some of the parts. And, we've been clamoring for Brady Tkachuk. And I don't know if this is almost like a Scott Boras type of situation where, he's trying to drive up the market, but like Ottawa, and Brady Tkachuk kind of just alluding to the fact that there's not going to be a trade, that we're not going to get him. But I just think when you see a team go on an extended stretch like this, and even their head coach saying that they don't have like the fire or whatever, it's like it's so obvious, that there needs to be a change, in terms of the personnel, and obviously they already traded their captain, Jacob Trouba. So that's just kind of my thoughts. I hope that they are able to make some moves, better this team, because there's talent there. I just think they need a mix up. Also, just even generally speaking, not even specific to the Rangers, Zach. Like when you hear something like that, a coach saying the guys aren't fired up, and you see lackluster plays and stupid mistakes, and guys are kind of loafing out there. I mean, I always look at it and say, how does not that come on the head coach and make you feel like you almost need to make a change, even though, like in this scenario, he's only in his second season, and they did make the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
I think it's very important to have a coach that players can rally behind. If you don't, it's really the culture of the locker room kind of goes to shit, because it's not, nobody wants to be there. Nobody's playing for each other, and nobody's playing for the coach even. So I think, even though it's a short amount of time, it really doesn't matter what amount of time it is that somebody's been coaching. If you don't have guys who rally around like the coach's mentality, it's kind of hard to win, right off the bat. So
yeah, and a part of me too does get like annoyed with the players. I know there's stuff like behind the scenes, that we don't know about, but it's like, even if there is something that happened in the locker room, I just find it hard to believe, like, you're a professional. This is your job. Yeah. That you just can't put that past you and just want to win. Like, I don't know. That has always bothered me, no matter what sport we're talking about. Oh, this thing happened in the locker room and it derailed the season. To me, that just shows signs of weaknesses of all those individuals who let that, affect them. Yeah,
I think having a strong locker room in any sport is important. But when you have, too much individuality, and you have guys who are, think they might be bigger than the team and start issues in the locker room, it's like, it doesn't work. Like, I know a lot of people, there's a lot of personalities in sports where people are like, oh, well, we can make it work, and, these two don't really mesh, but we can make it work. It really rarely ever works out for anybody in the long run. When you have, disputes in the locker room, it just leads to making it harder to win games. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that, as well. So, they'll be off today, and then actually back at the Garden on Saturday. And it's kind of interesting, one of those double header days at the Garden, because I'm actually going to the UConn-Gonzaga game that night. So excited for that. But they have a game against the Kings at 1:00. So they'll be working hard to get the turn the ice into the hardwood there. But always enjoy going to Madison Square Garden, and the surrounding area is great. The restaurants, the bars, the environment. New York this time of year, holiday season, you really, really can't beat it. So looking forward to that. But we do have a packed slate tonight. So if we could do a Thursday night Frozen Frenzy.
Just give me 1 second. I gotta find the song.
No problem at all. It's Tony's fault. And here we go. Thursday, December 12th, 2024, in the National Hockey League. First game up here, 7 o'clock. Maple Leafs hosting the Ducks. Scotiabank Arena, Toronto, Ontario. The matchup here between the Leafs and the Ducks. And you look at a team like the Ducks. I think certain matchups, I like them kind of as like an upset dog here. Heavy underdogs here, plus 340. Toronto, minus 450 on the money line, which is absolute insanity. But I'm not going to lie. If I had to do one, I would take Toronto minus 450 here. I think they're rolling. The offensive talent, and obviously they're not in the playoffs, so that's usually where they come up small. But a regular season team, all the talent on this team, and Austin Matthews seems like he's really hitting his stride here. So I think this is a decisive victory for Toronto. Just too much talent for the Ducks to overcome here. Jacob Trouba or not. So I'm going to say Toronto is going to win that game 5-0. So it's going to be the Maple Leafs and the under. Next game up, the Bell Center, Montreal, Quebec. The Canadiens hosting the Penguins. So this is interesting. Two teams under 500. But I have to say, and being there firsthand, watching them play the Rangers, despite the greater talent on the Penguins, as they are a slight favorite here at -115. Montreal coming in at -105. I just like the way the Canadiens play better. And I know sometimes, sure, they'll have their bad games, but with Montembeault, with Cole Caulfield, with Suzuki, I just feel like they play a better game than the Penguins play right now. And I think part of that might be the Penguins are just very old, relying on the Malkins, the Crosbys of the world. So I think this is a close game, but I give the edge to the home team here. I'm going to say Canadiens in the under 3-2. Next game up, not too far from here at the Prudential Center, we'll have the Devils hosting the Kings. So the Kings on their New York road trip here. The Devils coming in -150. Losers of their last game, but have been playing pretty well at all. I think it's like 6-3-1 in their last 10. Kings have been playing well as well. So when I look at this game, I think the Devils, the hot start to the season, I was mentioning this to Tony the other day, I think this is the start of a little bit of a cooling off period. Not to say they're not a playoff team, not a good team, but I think I like the way the Kings are playing, and I think they match up well. Very good value there. Josh B always looking for some bets here. +130. I think that's a value play. Way better value than the Lightning the other day that Tony gave you. But that being said, I think the Kings win this game. I'm going to say 5-4. So we're going to go Kings in the over. Next game up, Wells Fargo Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Flyers hosting the Red Wings. Right now, Philadelphia -130, Detroit +110. Seems like the Flyers playing better hockey this year. Seemed to kind of fall apart late last season. Tortorella, we mentioned going with the sweatshirt, a look you don't usually see out of a head hockey coach. But I just think Detroit doesn't look great. So I think Philly being at home, I think, they'll take care of business here. Seems to me more like a 3-2 type of victory. So let's go Flyers and the under. Next game up, Columbus, Ohio, Nationwide Arena. You have the Columbus Blue Jackets hosting the Washington Capitals here. Washington -165, road favorites. One of the biggest surprises in the National Hockey League this year. Ovechkin, the broken leg, doesn't matter. 19-6-2. Dylan Strome, the center, having a good year. 9 goals, 26 assists. Blue Jackets hanging in there. Obviously, the tragedy of Johnny Gaudreau, but have responded well. 12-13, including an impressive 8-4-1 at home mark. I just think Washington, too much to handle here. This, to me, seems like a 5-2 victory. So let's go Capitals in the over. Next game up. Not too far from here as well. UBS Arena, Elmont, New York. The struggling Islanders going up against the Blackhawks, who overall this season have struggled. 9-17-2. Did beat the Rangers, though, last time out. And, you look at this matchup, tight games, low-scoring games. The Islanders have just not been able to win, but they come into this game -190 on the money line. And I just look at this, and they've been losing a lot recently, but this feels like, there's some games the Islanders are going to win, and I feel like this is one just because the young team like the Blackhawks, interim coach. So I think the Islanders get it done. Of course, it has to be tight, but I think they ultimately win this game 3-2. Islanders in the under. Next game up, 8 o'clock, St. Louis Enterprise Center. The Blues hosting the Sharks. Blues -210 on the money line. 14-13-2. Sharks 10-16-5. When I look at this matchup, I like the underdog here. So this is another Josh B play. Maybe you want to parlay it, but I think the Sharks with the upset here. The young talent, Granlund, Tafari, Sorelli as well. I think they're able to get it done. I'm going to say Sharks get the job done here. 5-3, Sharks in the over. Next game up, Dallas hosting the Predators. American Airlines Center, Dallas, Texas. Dallas -210. Nashville +175 on the money line. Me and Tony were talking about this yesterday. Seems like the Predators are due to really break up the core of this organization and really start the rebuilding process. Will Barry Trotz be around as general manager? Who knows? But I think Duchesne and the Stars, too much here for the Preds. I think they get embarrassed 6-1. Stars in the over. Next game up, 8 o'clock, the Canada Life Center, Winnipeg. You have the Jets hosting the Knights. This is a good matchup. The Jets come in -125, so slight favorites here. Vegas coming in at +105. We know about Hellebuck. We know about Connor. We know about Eichel. So a lot of talent on the ice tonight. The Jets have played well at home, 10-3. Knights not bad on the road, 7-4-3. But I think a tight game, an overtime game. But in a shootout, I'm going to say the Jets will win this game 4-3. Connor the game winner. Jets in the over. Next game, another tasty matchup here. Excel Energy Center. St. Paul, Minnesota. The Wild hosting the Oilers. Edmonton, road favorites here. -145. Minnesota, +125 here. And I look at this game, and I do agree with Edmonton. Minnesota's been great this year, but I just think, at times, the Oilers, will overwhelm the opponent with the offense. It seems like McDavid has started to get going a little more. I think we're going to see more goals out of him as he was a little more tentative last season. So I think this is another over game, but the Oilers win 5-4. Oilers in the over. Next game up, the Avalanche hosting the Utah Hockey Club. Ball Arena, Denver, Colorado. Colorado -185. The Utah Hockey Club +155 on the money line. 12-11-5. Avalanche 17-13. Terrible start to the year. I think 0-4. Me and Tony were again talking about this yesterday. I think we're going to start seeing the Avalanche team that we've been familiar with the last couple of years. I think they win this decisively 5-2. Avalanche and the over. Next game up, the Flames hosting the Lightning. Scotiabank Saddle Dome, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This is easy for me. Lightning -150 have not been high on the Flames this season. Hubert Dow, I know he's playing better than maybe he has in recent years, but with Kucherov, with Point, with Gensel, with Vasilevsky, I think the Lightning able to take care of business on the road, nice and tight. 4-2. Lightning under. Next game up in Vancouver, the Rogers Center, the Canucks hosting the Panthers. Right now, the Panthers coming to this game -150. Vancouver +130 on the money line. I think this is a good game, but the Panthers, the best team maybe in the whole league here, the talent, the championship pedigree, I think that ultimately is too much for the Canucks as the Panthers survive in overtime, 4-3. Matthew Tkachuk, 2 goals and assist, including the game winner. Last game up in Seattle at the Climate Pledge Arena. You have the Kraken hosting the Bruins. Right now, Seattle even on the money line. Boston, the slight favorites at -120, just got embarrassed the other night, and I think that will carry over to this one. The Kraken have had some good games recently, beating the Rangers, scoring 7 goals. I think they win this one. A crazy game, 6-5 in overtime. Jared McCann, the game winner, Kraken, and the over. And just like that, that is your Thursday Frozen Frenzy. And I have to say, it's kind of crazy going double duty. Usually me and Tony go back and forth, so the pipes have to be ready for this. Good thing I've had my water today. A lot of games out on the ice.
That was a hell of a slate.
Rangers not going to be on, but I think a lot of good games
2 more days,
here.
Right?
Yeah, they will play on Saturday. Don't you agree, like kind of what I was saying? It's like we've seen the struggle. Like, just make some moves right now, dude. We can't wait another second, right? Or no?
Yeah, they got to do something now to shake it up because obviously things aren't going according to plan, so they need to do something.
And I know it's like, you don't want to have like a ton of turnover at the head coach position, but don't you think if the coach is saying they're not fired up and they just look terrible out there, how do you not think about the coach? I know they were really good last year, but it's like that has to come up.
Yeah, ultimately it's on the players, but definitely, I mean, if you don't have good coaching too, which I kind of find hard to believe considering last year. So, just a weird spot for them right now. But I mean, they won last night, and maybe they can continue going on Saturday. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's fair to question the coaching too. Definitely.
Yeah. So I think you definitely want to mix it up. Let's get ahead of the curve here because I think that there's still a lot of potential in this season for the Rangers, and obviously it's not like they're buried, like they're 5-20, something like that. They're a few over 500. So you'd like to take advantage of this season and end a 30-year drought for the New York Rangers. This fan base is starved, and we deserve to see them hoist the Stanley Cup. Once again. So that's interesting. So we'll have to see what they do, and looking forward to watching that game over the weekend. Zach, what did you make of kind of switching gears here, just quickly before we wrap up? Last night the Hawks, the Knicks, Trae Young. I mean, kind of ridiculous, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of sad, to be honest, because the first half they were lights out. I mean, it was still a relatively close game, but it was like Cat was playing great. Brunson was just starting to heat up a little bit, and then the third quarter they just collapsed offensively and let Trae Young take over, basically. I think it's tough because I don't think it'll ever be the same as it was when they were in the playoffs against each other that bad, but we really can't seem to get past him in any of these bigger games. So
yeah, but it's interesting overall, though. I think he's there's 6 games under 500. The Hawks are against the Knicks, but I guess it's just been obviously bigger games where they've won.
Yeah.
And also too, I don't know if you saw this. I saw this on Twitter the other day because to be honest, I'm pretty sure I have not watched one game this year in the NBA like start to finish. And I guess since 2012, ratings down 48%. And it just seems like it's continuing that way. And I'm guessing it's a style of play, but it just seems like it's a free fall. And to me, I think it comes down to the style of play. Like nobody wants to just see a 3-point contest every time and it be cool to not try or play defense. Do you think that's why that we've seen that in terms of the ratings?
Yeah, I think so. I think because of the style of play, and I think this is why they are doing the Emirates Cup, because these games don't mean anything in the middle of December. You know what I mean? Like they do, but not really. I mean, you look at the NFL, I think the NFL is so popular because every single game counts. You know what I mean? Every game means something more. But I was watching the Warriors and the Rockets last night, and I really enjoyed it because they were actually playing defense, and it felt like a playoff game. And I think that's the goal with the Cup games, but it's like, it's still too far in between. You know what I mean? Like there's not, like once this Cup is over, it's going to go back to normal winter basketball where nobody's really trying on defense, and it's a 3-point contest, like you mentioned. And I think, I enjoy it because I like the Knicks, so I'm able to follow a team, which makes it more enjoyable. But if I didn't have a team, I really wouldn't care as much.
No, and it's crazy. I know it was really before me, but Matt goes way back with basketball. And I'm sure at some point he was like this. And back in the day, I know a big Kobe Laker fan. But even for me, I would say going back, I don't know, 10 plus years, like I would enjoy watching any game. Oh, the Saturday game on ABC, two good teams. Like I can't wait to watch this. I don't back then there wasn't sports betting, but it's like you didn't even need a bet on it. Like it was like fun to watch, and it's just now it's like, oh well, this guy's out, that guy's out, that guy's out, and it's just like, what are we doing? I don't know. I mean, do you think that like we ever get like a change in this in terms of effort, style of play, and just kind of get the league healthy again? I mean, do you think that's coming at some point?
I don't think so. I think the way that the league is now, it's like once you get to that level of stardom, and also once you're, kind of on the tail end of your prime, I feel like they emphasize the load management. You know what I mean? So I think that's a part of it. That's personally why I enjoy watching the younger teams play, because they play every day. So
Right.
it's like it's more fun to watch, at least for me. So I don't know. I don't think it'll change, especially if you look at guys who are at the top. Like, I think the 76ers are the best example of like what the league has become. I mean, they're waiting for the playoffs, saving guys for the playoffs,
But
and
they
then
might not make the playoffs.
They may not even make the playoffs, and even if they do, they're not gonna win.
Can you just give me an NBA?
NBA sucks ass.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's exactly, and it's like, we're gonna spend our time watching this stuff, but they're not even gonna try. Like, and then they want to get paid more too, and it's just like so ridiculous. And that's why I've just made this switch to hockey, because it's just like it feels like every game is big, and it's like hockey, you're loafing around the ice, you're gonna get killed.
Yeah, and I think in the NHL, it's the mentality is very like next man up. Like, if you can't play, we got two just like you that can take your spot, and I think that's what makes the NHL very similar to the NFL in terms of like the style of play and everything. It's very cutthroat, whereas the NBA is, it seems like they're willing to give people a lot more leeway. And I don't know if that's just like the culture of basketball and like what it's become in the NBA, but I also enjoy watching college basketball a little bit more, because it's the same mentality. It's like, well, I mean, obviously you're a great player, but we can fill your spot if you're going to give us an issue. You know what I mean?
And even with the NIL, the effort is the same.
Yeah.
Sure, guys are leaving or more, whatever. There's more turnover, but the effort, the energy, there's just nothing like hearing an arena, the whole and like everybody's jumping up and down and stuff. Like you can't beat that.
Yeah, and I think that's like
College ball's great.
Yeah, and that's why I love college football too, because the atmosphere is just awesome, especially with these bigger programs. So, yeah, I like even like watching the Rockets last night. Like, I mean, their fans are like kind of out of it. Like, I felt like I was watching, I was like, this is a big game for you guys. Like, this is a statement game for you guys to beat the Warriors. It's a cup game, and it just felt like the fans didn't really come alive until like the last 2 minutes. Like, they were just kind of asleep, and I was like, I mean, this could just, I don't know, it could have just been so much more exciting just based on the fans and the way that they were watching the game. But I don't know, that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, I'm pumped to see UConn play against Gonzaga, and it's been an interesting start to the year. I mean, obviously disappointing going 0-3 in Maui, but I think we're starting a turning of the tide. And I think it can't be underestimated, too. They had a decisive victory on the road in Austin against the University of Texas last time out on Sunday. So it seems like they're turning the corner. I mean, I think they arguably have the best coach in America. I mean, how do you argue with that? Back-to-back titles, the passion that he has, being like a maniac on the sidelines. So, maybe, sure. Like, is it more than likely that they don't three-peat? Absolutely. But I will not be at all surprised if it's, another Sweet 16, Elite 8, and just being in the thick of things, because it really seems like Dan Hurley has found something there in stores.
Yeah, definitely. I think as long as you have Hurley, as long as you have that leadership, they can always find their way back. They may not be the powerhouse that they were for the last 2 years, but they'll always be in the mix, I think. And that's the beauty of the tournament, is that there's so 64 teams. So,
yeah, exactly. So definitely pumped for that. A lot of players that probably will be at the next level I'll see at the Garden. So that is going to be a treat for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But fellas, I have to say this has been a outstanding show.
Great show.
Definitely.
Great show.
And can't wait to do it again soon. And hopefully, next time we're talking about Kyle Tucker putting on his pinstripe jersey. What do you think, Matthew?
No, that'd be nice. That'd be great. I just got a little alert here. Soto surprised he didn't know how better, or had a better relationship with him during his time with the Yankees.
Wait, Soto surprised what?
That he didn't have a better relationship or get to know how better during his time there.
Yeah.
And then they were just saying like how didn't want to overwhelm him like first year in New York or whatever. But
But,
whatever, man. I mean,
but right, like I think, like we've talked about before, I think this is like where it's like, okay, we're just Soto, like he's an afterthought. It's over, right?
Yeah. But
Exactly.
I think all these little things now just pop up.
But like, you know what I mean? That's just giving in to whatever you want to call these type of people. But fuck them. That's what I say.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, who? Yeah, you know. It's
Like, I
just
don't
they
care
want
what he
clicks.
says at the press conference. Say we don't need to see it on Sports Center every second. Like,
Is it today?
it's 3 o'clock today.
3
yeah.
o'clock.
Well,
But
I know.
we gotta watch that, dude.
yeah. Okay. yeah.
What were you gonna
That's
say,
one
Zach?
thing we don't.
Oh
have to
no, I
watch.
was just gonna say, yeah, no, they've been pushing the press conference since for
Oh
the last
my
2 days.
God.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, but
Yeah, but you
I
get
understand.
it.
I
You get it.
understand where you guys are coming from.
Yeah,
definitely.
No, absolutely. And I would
Give
say,
us a little recap, maybe, Zach.
Yeah, for sure. I'll call in tomorrow and give a nice recap on the show.
And for any Mets fan who sees this or is watching right now, I mean, just take a page out of Zach's book, out of Tony's book. I swear to God, they're the two best version of a Mets fan on this earth. So I would appreciate it if you guys take some notes, okay? But that being said, what a
Take a
great
few
show
notes.
today. We really appreciate everybody who tuned in and continues to comment, like, and subscribe. All of the archives in the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee, and Jay in costume, the merch at downtimetv.com. We want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.